I'm ready to hop into all things NFL Combine for days 1 and day 2. Welcome back to the Daily Dose with Des show. I'm Des, obviously, and I am going to be talking about day 1 and day 2 and just my overall thoughts so far of the Combine. It actually went better than I expected. I wasn't as stressed. I did, learn a couple lessons here, but this is mainly going to be about the recap of the players, what I think stand out to me. I do want to preface this in saying, obviously, I am not a scout, right? So they may be looking for a little bit more specific things. I'm looking for just what I'm used to seeing, what I know, quickness, athleticism, agility. That's what I'm looking at, which they look at it as well, but obviously it'll be from a completely different lens. So do not think that this is going to be, a scout's take, okay? I mean, maybe, I don't know. I'm just kidding. Anyway, so I did not get in for day one, so I did miss day one when it was the defensive linemen. You could see all the big guys in the trenches, and there's quite a few that are opting out because they want to fully participate in their school's pro day. Understand? I get it. It does kind of lead to some confusion because it's like, well, if you knew you were going to participate, like, but you don't like turn down an invite to the combine. You just don't. So I get it. You get there. We see it every year where players come, opt out of workouts, and hope that they really shine and show up the way they want to for their pro day. Now, I do have to preference, well, not preference, but I do want to say this too. Texas A&M is really killing it with 13 players. And then Alabama has 12, LSU has 11, and the University of Miami has 10. Clemson has 9, and there were 2 other schools that were also tied and had 9. But it's really like, okay, the SEC really, we're not going into that. We're not going to get into that because I don't want to argue with y'all today. I don't want to argue with y'all today. So, boom. Day one, like I said, defensive. So if you like defense, which I do, which I'm so upset that I missed it, but you already know that Ohio State's Sonny Styles really stood out. He was the fastest 40 in his group with a 4.46, and he had the lead with the vertical jump, which super agility, like Jesus. So he was basically that standout player from day one. Everybody kept talking about him in day 2, and then he has a brother, Lorenzo, and I'm gonna get to him in a second. But there was no inclination in my mind that Sonny Styles was not going to come and show up and do what he needed to do. I mean, the guy is like 6'5", and he's super athletic. He's super fast, as you can see. He's just an overall like A++ athlete, and I got to see that at Cotton Bowl. And yeah, it wasn't, it didn't turn out how, they expected to, but you can definitely see his athleticism. He's just a great player. And I don't think that anybody thought um, otherwise. He's kind of one of those players where like, you just kind of know. And I'm actually really happy that he actually participated because I didn't think he was going to participate, but he did. And I think you kind of seen all you need to see. That's my opinion, though. Again, I'm not the scout. I'm not recruiting, but I'm just saying. I think you kind of seen all that you really needed to see. Other highlights here. David Bailey, edge Texas Tech, stood out during defensive end drills. Caleb Banks, defensive tackle from Florida, impressed during defensive tackle workouts. The day one focus was defensive ends, tackles, and linebackers, with many top prospects electing, only to do like interviews and your medical checks. And these why you don't turn it down because you need to do all of your medical checks, which kind of led to a frenzy coming into day 2. So the day 2, it was so backed up. Everybody was so behind and things happened. So today taught me that although the combine and most of what NFL does is run like a well tight-knit machine, there's just things that you're not going to be able to control. And when these players are going to get medically checked and they're going to go through their MRI machines, make sure my mic was still on. They're going through the MRI machines and they're getting, the top notch physicals, make sure that they are, up to top tippy shape. There's going to be holdups. And with so many athletes trying to get in with so many different time slots and within a time frame and then having to get to media, I can understand why it's a whole frenzy. And even though they do a pretty good job with having the different delegated days, you're moving a lot of bodies through these processes and you want to be as thorough as possible. So that today taught me a lot because we waited around for a really long time to see if some players will come out. I waited around for Adam Randall to see if I can talk to him again, as I did at the Senior Bowl. But there was some mishap that came, and then I had to end up leaving. So I don't know if he actually came out or not, but that's just kind of like what I've learned. Like it's just kind of, yes, there's a schedule, there's structure, but it's also kind of like a free for all. You just kind of get in where you fit in and you just go with the flow. And I'm not used to that. So that kind of threw me off a little bit because I'm like, wait a minute, I'm used to everything just being run like boom, 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 boom. Like I just came from Super Bowl and Super Bowl was like that, like everything was always in place, on time, in order. And like I said, it's some things you just cannot control. And that was my biggest thing coming from day two. I enjoyed the media, scrums, as we call them. Not really my strong suit there. I get in, I do get questions, and I do think I ask great questions, but it's kind of like I'm more of that one-to-one, want to really get to know and really ask you like in-depth questions and not just like, hey, is $3 million enough to retire? Like, I don't want to ask those questions. So I understand that's not my super duper strong point, but that's why I keep putting myself in those situations so that way I can understand or I can get better and strengthen that area. I would say, though, my favorite interview from today would likely be, honestly, I'm going to say CJ Donaldson from Ohio State. I felt as though he answered the questions that I asked very clear and concise. He thought the answers through, but he also kind of knew what he wanted to say. He was confident within himself, especially saying how, this wasn't my question, but he explained how what many people don't know about him is that he was a dynamic wide receiver, and then he changed his position to running back. So he can play both positions and really just talking about, his transition with changing the positions and overall who he is as a player and where he has grown for this season, which was part of my question. And I really love that. I love that he actually just extended and connected. I love the fact that the answers were just well thought out and they didn't feel rehearsed. I'm not saying that the other players were rehearsed or anything. I'm just saying like it just came naturally with him. So he was probably my favorite interview of the day, and I didn't even want to get him. Not saying I didn't want to get him, but I was waiting for Adam Randall, and he didn't come out. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna just run over here and ask some questions, and then I'm gonna just wait and figure it out. But I'm really, really happy that I actually did go get the interview. So please check out those interviews. There are 5 interviews or sound bites from day 2, and it's going to be under the playlist NFL Combine, and I'm probably going to just kind of tag it up there somewhere so you can actually go and have a place to click on it. It means a lot to me when you check out the video. So thank you in advance. Moving into the afternoon part, which is like the evening part, that's when we get into the workouts, into the drills, and you kind of get to see everybody's favorite part is always the 40-yard dash. They want to see how fast you are. They want to see who's the new guy who's being talked about and all of that. And then within your group, within your position, you have to be able to do the do. So I actually did take a little bit of notes here. Okay. I did show up a bit tardy for the party, so I missed majority of group 4 when it came to their 40s, but I did see them work out, and I will honestly say they have some amazing the talent is amazing. It's amazing talent. The DBs really stepped up and showed like why they're supposed to be coming off the board, early, fast, all of that. I will say that I did get to see a little bit of Thaddeus Dixon, which I did an interview with him at Senior Bowl. I think he continues to show and highlight himself. I think he is super fast. I think that he's quick and he has a good range of mobility. I didn't I didn't see his 40, so I can't say how fast. I could search it up and see how fast he was for his 40. But overall, I mean, not bad. He didn't have a bad performance. I don't think that it necessarily stood out. I'm going to talk about my standouts. I don't know why it's not coming up. I don't know his 40 time, but it wasn't something that, he didn't stand out, but he also didn't hurt himself either. It's kind of one of those things. Another one on this list that I thought did really, really well, in my opinion, was Malik Muhammad. I think he from Texas. I think he did really well. I think he showed that speed. I think he showed the versatility a bit, and being able to just like make the adjustments for catching balls and things. I think he did great. Julian Neal. I think he is just amazingly tall. Like I just a lot of these players I just kept putting on my paper lengthy because they're tall, but they're muscular, they're fast, they're a lot faster than expected. And it's like, whoa, these they're quick, like sheesh, like you can just tell how the NFL is evolving because your defensive backs are running 4.2. Like so, yeah. But Julian stood out to me. I think he has great potential. And I think even though Arkansas wasn't as good this season, I feel like he definitely was a standout player for sure, in my opinion. Who else from Group 4? I'm only talking about Group 4. Avion Terrell from Clemson. I think he showed really, really good speed. He had a couple missteps, but he got back into it, catching the ball, pushing all the way through, being quick, being able to adjust in the moments of getting a correction or getting taught something. So I think that really kind of shows versatility, and I think that's going to show against all of the Clemson players that go out and actually participate in the workouts. These players are built for this. There's a reason why they have the history of being one of the top universities that get players drafted, because they just automatically come with the good foundationals. And that's one thing you can never take away from Dabo Swinney and his staff and what he's built over the years. Foundational skills, they have it. Learning, they have it. Following directions, being quick on their feet, quick to adjust, being adaptable, they have it. They're athletic, they're fast, all of these things. So I think he showed that. I think he showed exactly why he was in the room with everybody else. I like him. I really do. Another one that I thought did really well was Emmanuel McNeil from Toledo. The dude is super tall. He ran a 4.55, and the second time he ran was a 4.53. He's like 6'4", and you can tell like he wanted to run faster than a 4.53. He was upset with himself, and it's like, dude, you are like, can you see how tall you are? you see how big you are, and not in a bad way, but it's like you're flying down this speed. So if you want to get faster, I can only imagine he's gonna be running a four. He's gonna run a four, maybe like a 4.49. I think maybe he can get that fast. But Toledo has really shown out with their talent. At Senior Bowl, I seen it. At Shrine Bowl, I seen it. I'm like, Toledo, they are a school to watch. You need to get your eyes on them. If you're not paying attention, you need to. They have some dogs over there, and Emmanuel is definitely one of those dogs. I think Jalen Kilgore from South Carolina did really, really well with his first 40. He was a 4.22. Excuse me, he was a 4.42, and then he was a 4.4. So I think showing up and doing what he needs to do. A couple missteps as well, but kind of got back into it, stayed in it, and didn't really, didn't give up. None of them gave up, but it's always like the good follow through. So to me, he did a really good job, in my opinion. Standouts for me, Colton Hood, again, had a small misstep in the beginning with doing the workouts, but from that misstep, he showed up times 10, catching the balls, being able to reverse, being able to just use his feet, and being where his, to say be where your feet are. I felt like he was just where his feet was. He didn't let anything affect him, and he just looked phenomenal out there, in my opinion. Looked great at the Tennessee Vols. Obviously, Lorenzo Styles from Ohio State running a 4.27, speedy, rapid, quick, expeditious. I don't know. I don't know what other words we can use right now, but every word for fast, yeah. Now he's not Xavier Worthy fast, but he got potential to be there. He has potential to be there. Talking about being confident in interviews, being confident when he stepped on the field, just being 100% locked in. And I can only imagine having his brother and his family members watch him, his mom and sister, and everybody just being there to cheer him on and just, just to show their support for him. I feel like they made him go like 10 times harder. And I just was like, yeah, he just upped his draft stock like 1,000, really, really good standout. Another one that I'm thoroughly impressed with is Dylan Feeman. I think that's how you say it, from Oregon. And homeboy showed up. Okay. His 40 was a 4.37 for the first time, and it was a 4.36 for the second time. He's quick, he's fast, rapid, expeditious. And throughout every workout, 100%, hell, 110%, going all in. Thoroughly impressed. I'm thoroughly impressed. Definitely jacked his draft stock up, and I believe he's one of the underclassmen, so that's even better. Can you imagine if he stayed a little bit more time? Can you imagine the dog that he would be? Yeah, good. And then for the Titans, they went last. Obviously, Keon Sadiq from Oregon. Oregon is just showing out. Oregon said, we listen, we have come in to show y'all what we're made of. Okay, he ran a 4.4 flat both times. Tight end. Rapid, quick, expeditious. My golly, the best time, and also broke the record for his position with that 40 speed. So yeah, these players are getting faster, they're getting better. They're doing just great and amazing. Great. Just great. The tight ends, to me, I think all of them looked pretty good. Their 40s range between a 4.6. You got a 4.55, 4.7. Now, I will say the tight end from Tennessee, Miles, a 4.94. His first one was a 4.91. He should have just stopped there. But he has a chance to redeem himself at Pro Day. So I'm looking forward to see if he can, get better with that number. Because everybody else was above that. Everybody else is 4.7, 4.6, 4.5. So I think he has opportunity for improvement there. But in all the other things, I was impressed with the tackling and the what is those things called? When you hit the thing and you move it, the tackling drill. I think he did great there. But yeah, so I'm looking forward to seeing what tomorrow shows, really. And I know a lot of the quarterbacks are probably not going to play, wide receivers and all of that, but the ones who are, I know it's going to be super duper crazy. It's a Saturday. People are already in the city, so they're gonna definitely show up for this. I'm excited to see like what actually happens. I'm also excited that the interviews don't start until a little later in the morning. Yes, that is going to be my favorite part of that tomorrow. But I think so far so good. All of these players are deserving. All these players are worthy of being there. Obviously, they worked their tail off and they really showed why they are there, why they are the top prospects for the draft. I don't see too many coming in and really shaking it up too much in terms of players that are not at the draft. Not at the combine. I feel like at this point, we're seeing the best of the best, and that's kind of obvious, but literally are seeing the best of the best. They're putting it all out there, and they're really doing everything they can do to make sure that they're impressing scouts, coaches, GMs, and whoever else is there. They do have personal interviews with all the teams. Some have more interviews than others. Some have like 21, 26 interviews. So again, lots of these players, and we already know who these C-star athletes are. We've been talking about them all season if you've been keeping up on the show. So a lot of these athletes, they already kind of have a feel and already have an inclination that they are going to go. They just have to make sure that they are consistent. I think at this point it's showing how consistent you are, how explosive you can be, how you can adapt, and overall what's your overall health and what that team can see you doing, fitting in to their scheme and fitting in on their team. So I'm excited again to be here. I want to again thank my title sponsor, East Coast Youth Sports Group out of the DMV, for giving me this opportunity in helping me get here for the 2 days to cover this combine experience. Make sure you're checking them out. They are taking today's youth athletes and making them tomorrow stars, and a lot of them are football players, so it just kind of makes sense that I'm here. So make sure you're liking, sharing, and subscribing on all social media platforms. Leave me a comment if one of your players or one of your favorites, did you watch them? Did they excite you? Did you like what you see? Let me know. Tell me now in the comments. Let's go ahead and chit chat about it. And I will see you guys on the next one. Baby girl, you are so pretty, 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 pretty.